Kakadosh Bokato Shavuoto. We're going to start on Kuf Lamed Hamud Aleph 135a. We are by the two dots, which is actually 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 lines down, two dots. Amar More says, Velo Safek Dochet Shabbat. Remember that a Safek is not going to push off the Shabbat, which means there has to be Orlato Vadai for sure in Orla, but not an Orlat Safek. Latuyamai, what is that coming to include? So says the Gemara, Latuya Aditanu Rabbanan, that to include that which the rabbi said in the Braita, Ben Shiva, that if the child was born on the 7th month, we're going to be Mechalel Shabbat to do Brit Milah on the Shabbat. Ben Shmona, but if it was born on the 8th month, we're not going to do the Chilul Shabbat in order to do Brit Milah on this child. Safek Ben Shiva, Safek Ben Shmona, if it's a Safek, whether it's the 7th month or 8th month, En Mechalelin Alav et Shabbat. We are not going to be Mechalel the Shabbat. Okay, Ben Shmona, Hareu Kevin. Why? Because the 8th month, we just started right by the two dots, yeah? The 8th month, Ben Shmona Hareu Kevin, he's like an Evan. And therefore you're not allowed to be tell this child at all. But the mother could bend down and she could nurse her child, and that they permitted because of the sakana, right? That basically for the woman. Meaning, if a woman comes and she doesn't start feeding the child, it could become a sikana that she has the milk inside and it's forming and it's actually very hurt. It's a lot of pain. So, because of that sakana, she's allowed to feed the child. However, though, not because of the child. Remember that nowadays, Baruch Hashem, because of incubators and all other things, a lot of these halachot have changed, which means once upon a time, a child that was born in the 8th month was called a pag. A pag means that for sure he's going to die. That's either they were born at 7 or 9. 7 is okay, 9 is okay. 8 was a problem. Nowadays, a lot of these halachot have changed. So Itmar, it was stated. Rav Amar Rav says, the halachas like Tanakama, that the machloket between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel was if he was already nolad mahul, if he was already born with a brit milah, the Bet Hillel holds that you don't even need to do a tefat amrit. And Shmuel says, halachas like Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, the halachas like Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. Ravada bar Ava, Ityal le'ayun nuka. So Ravada bar Ava had a child that was born to him keshu mahul. He brought him to 13 different mualim to check if to do a tafad damrit, and nobody wanted to do it because it was Shabbat. So even according to Bet Shammai, it's only on a safek orla. Therefore, you're not going to be Chalel Shabbat. Until, right, he did it himself, and by accident, he made him into a krut shovcha. He made him that he wasn't able to have children afterwards. So Amar, he said, Teiti li de'avdi aderav. He says, it's magialo. And he's speaking about himself. He says, it's worth, what do you mean worth it for him? Not worth it for him. How do you say magiali? He deserves it. He deserves it. Why? Because he was over on the words of Rav, which means the fact that he went against the words of Rav, that Rav says, halachas like Tanakama, that we basically don't do, even at Tefat Damrit, and he went against the words of Rav, that's why it was deserving of him that he gets that punishment, that he did it himself, and he got punished that he actually made it that his own child could not have children afterwards. Okay? So Amalei Rav Nachman says of Nachman that the Shmuel lo avar, why he didn't transgress the words of Shmuel. Emar Damar Shmuel bechol. When did Shmuel say this? Only during the weekday. Shabbat miyamad. But did Shmuel say this during the weekday? During Shabbat? Which means even according to Shmuel, it says that you do need to do damrit, hatafat damrit, which means you poke just that way blood comes out. That's only during the weekday. On Shabbat, where did you ever see that Shmuel said that? Savar, but he said, for sure it's going to be Orla Kvusha. The Itman Rabba Marchashinan Shema Orla Kvushahi. Maybe Be'emet it's not a Safek, right? And it's not going to push off the Shabbat. You say, for sure it's going to be Orla. What is the concept of Orla Kvusha? Right? He says that it's not a Safek at all. So we are going to be Mechalel the Shabbat because he just holds that the Orla is just like hidden inside, but it's for sure there. That's why you have to take it out. Amar Rav Yosef says of Yosef, how do we know that for sure Orla Kvushahi? The time was learned to the right, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar says, Lo nechluku Bet Shammai Bet Hillel shelolad shegashu bal, so you have to take out the Amrit. Al man nechluku is a machloket lechalel el Shabbat. Shabbat Shammai only says Bet Shammai mechalel el Shabbat. Bet Hillel says mechalel el Shabbat. Lav mikal that Tanakama says mechalel el Shabbat doesn't mean that Tanakama also holds mechalel el Shabbat, which means that it's mashma from the Tanakama. But that's what Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar is arguing on. He says that according to everybody, you're going to be mechalel the Shabbat. So for sure it's going to be Orla Kvusha. So says the Gemara, no. Why? The Din Matanakama Divra Kol Mechalin Kamar. Maybe according to the Tanakama, it's according to everybody you're not going to do this. So if so, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar Tamad Bet Shammai Tadishmin. So Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar is talking about the reasoning of right Bet Shammai. So says the Gemara, Din Mahaki Kamar. This is what it means to say. Lo nechlaku Bet Shammai or Bet Hillel b'davar zeh. There's no machloka between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel on this, right? There's no machloket whatsoever. And therefore, according to this, for sure, you have to be do atafat ambrit, but there's no proof. Fine. Amar Rabbi Yassi, says Rabbi Yassi, Kol sheimot t'mea leida, any woman that she becomes t'mea leida, which means that when she gives birth, she becomes t'mea because of giving birth to a child. Nimol lishmona, you're going to do bri milah for 8 days. V'chol she'enimot t'mea leida, but if it's not going to be t'mea leida, for example, C-section. So if a woman gives birth on Shabbat with a C-section, and nimol lishmona, it's not going to be born, it's not going to do it, you're not going to wait until the 8th day, but rather you do bri milah immediately. That's what it says over here. Malim oto miyad. Shneimar says in the pasuk, "Isha ketev yaldat zachar utmea, right? V'tamea shivat yamim." Then v'yom shuvimor b'tzarto. Abai says no. Torot harishonim yochichu sharei eni motmea lida. You could see about the concept that until Matan Torah, right, there was no such thing as tumat yoledet, and still imol lishmona. Says 1 second. What? There was no mitzvah to do bri milah by 8 days, even beforehand. There was no tumat lida. Amalei, he went and he answered him, Nitna Torah, Nitchacha Halacha. No, they gave the Torah and then the Halacha was revised. That means once the Torah was given, now it changed that only if a woman is going to become Tmeah, now she has to do Bri Milah on the 8th day. But if not, they do it immediately. Uflamed Hamud Bet, by 135b. So it says, any, is it so? By Itmar Yotzei Dofen. We learned that by Yotzei Dofen. Remember, Yotzei Dofen means coming out of the wall, which means a C-section. A C-section, a cesarean section, is Yotzei Dofen. It's not coming out of the rechem, it's coming out of the dofen of the wall. So it says, Umishi yeshlo shte orlot, or a child that has 2 orlot. Okay? That means one on top of another, 2 foreskins. Rav Huna, Rav Chia Barav, Rav Chunim, Rav Chia Barav. Chadamar, one of them says, Mechalin Shabbat, you're going to be Mechalel Shabbat. Chadamar, one of them says, Em Mechalin, you're not going to be Mechalel. Ad kan lo plige ele lechalel Shabbat. When is Machloket only to be Mechalel Shabbat? Aval, lishmona, but for shmona, for sure we're going to do the milah, which means for sure you're going to do it, even if it's going to be, that's to do with Chilul Shabbat, but for sure on the Yom HaShmini you have to do it, and that's by the way Halacha Maseh, which means for sure you're going to do Bri Milah on the 8th day. The only question is, can you be Mechalel Shabbat or not? So says the Gemara, you're right, Habe Atalia, which means you're right. Din of Chilul Shabbat is Talui on Din of the Shmini. So basically something that's not going to be Nimol on Shmoni, and Milato Doche. So that's why, because of that, it's not going to push off the Shabbat. So says the Gemara, it's a ketanai. Yesh lid bayit shenimol lecha, yesh lid bayit shenimol lishmona, yesh mikta kes shenimol lecha, yesh mikta kes lishmona. Now we're going to explain. There's a yelid bayit, somebody that's born from your house, which means a child that is going to be done bri milah immediately, and somebody that's going to do done on the 8th day. There's mikna kesef, which means that they are your property, and therefore they have to do bri milah to them, to your slaves or things like that. That's nimol lecha, and some people it's 8 days. Yesh mikna kesef shenimol lecha. We're going to start with the mikna kesef first, the slaves. If you purchased a shivcha Kanaanit, right, which means a goyish slave, a maidservant, meuberet, pregnant, and then she had a child, that's mikna kesef, which is nimol lishmona. But if you took a shivcha and the shivcha already has, right, a child, meaning that you got a goya slave and she came with a child already, that is mikna kesef shnimol leechad, that is going to be nimol leechad. Yesh yilid bayit shenimol lishmona. There's a yilid bayit which is nimol lishmona. Keitzad lakach shivcha nitabra etzlo. What happens if you purchased a shivcha and she became pregnant by you, right? By you, by an eved ivri. So v'yalda, and she gave birth. That's yilid bayit. That means it was born into your house. Nimol lishmona, 8 days. Chama says yalda ve'achak bila. No, she gave birth and afterwards they made her do tevilah l'shem avdut. That's going to be born, done the Brit Milah immediately. But if she did first the Tevilah and then afterwards she gave birth, that's Yilid which is born to, that's going to be done Brit Milah on the 8th day. The Tanakama Loshani Ilan, and the Tanakama doesn't make a differentiation between Tevilah and afterwards that give birth, or between give birth and afterwards the Tevilah. because even though the mother is not Tumia Leida, Nimol Lishmona, she's going to be have the Brit Milah for the 8 days. Okay, so remember, here we're all talking about, the entire concept of a Shivcha Kenanit. So when did she do the Tevilah, and when is she going to be doing the Brit Milah? So says the Gemara, Bisham and Rav Chama, this is good according to Rav Chama, Mashkach, you find it in a case which is Yilid Bait Nimol Echad, Yilid Bait Nimol Shmona. Mikrakes Nimol Echad, right? And then also Nimol Shmona. Yalda ve'achar kach higvila, she gave birth, this Shivcha gave birth, and then afterwards she did the Tevilah in order to do Avdut, to become a slave by the good Jew. That's Yilid Bait, Shenimol Echad. Higvila, she first did the Tevilah and then she gave birth, right? So that's Yilid Bait, which is going to be 8 days. If she took her when she was already pregnant, and then she made her to Tevilah, and then after she gave birth, right? That's Mikna Kesef Shenimol Shmona. She already purchased her and she already has a child. Ela leTanakama, but according to the Tanakama, we understand all the cases, but Yilid Bait Nimol Echad, when you can have a Yilid Bait, which is Nimol Echad, how do you find it? So Rabbi Yirmiyah says, Belokeach Shivcha leubara. If you only purchase the Shivcha for her ubar, which means you don't want the maidservant, you want a slave, but you purchase the maidservant just for her child, for her slave, for her child. And therefore he says over here, that's called a Yilid Bait, which is Nimol, that's what we're saying over here. Nimol Echad. So Hani, this is good according to the Mandamar, that Perot are not considered the guf, which means if you purchase the land for its fruit, Kinyan Perot are not considered that you own the land, you only own the fruits, which are the Perot. So same thing, if you bought this woman only for her fruits and not for her, so you don't have the body, you don't have her, you only have her fruits, which is the child. But according to the Mandamar, Kinyan Perot is Kinyan Guftami, what are you going to say? Right, at the end of the day, the Lokeach Balim is, you are the owner over this maidservant, because you have the Zechut in her child. So it's like you made Kinyan Guf, so it comes out that Nolad Vlad Zeb Yishuta Lokeach, and therefore, it should be, what does that mean? It should be Nimol Shmona, not Nimol Echad. You should have a bringing on the 8th day for this child, not on the 1st day. So you purposely took the Shivcha, but you don't want her to do Tevilah. Meaning you don't want her to be a Shivcha Kenani, which is Chayav B'mitzot. Rather, you want to make her, you want to leave her like Mamash, like a Goyalo, as always. So now if she becomes pregnant and she gives birth, that child is called a Yilid Bait, that it's going to be like Kinyano, that it's Nimol Echad. Okay? Fine. Tanya, we learned in the right there. Shimon says, Kol shasha shosha yamim, shloshim yom ba'adam, eno nefel. When a child is born, after 30 days by a human being, if the child is not deceased, it does not pass away, it's for sure not a nefel. That's why by Pidyon Ben, it's always after 30 days to make sure it's not a nefel. By an animal, it's 8 days. Only a korban could be brought by an animal after 8 days old, meaning you cannot bring a korban which is less than 8 days old. So says the Gemara, haloshaha sveikahav, right? So it comes out that if you didn't wait the 30 days by a human being, so then it's a safek, right? So there's a safek if it's a nefel or not, right? So kufla mevav umdalef, so then how do you do brit milah? Which means if the child could still be it could be a nefel, how do we have the right to do brit milah on Shabbat, to push off Shabbat? Maybe it's a nefel. Chas v'shalom. So answers the Gemara, Ela Amar Ravada Barava, says Ravada Barava, Malino Tomi Manavshach, we do brit milah manavshach. Im chayu, if he's going to live, so then you were supposed to do the brit milah. Says if milah, and if not, and then bemet it's a nefel, mechatech babasarhu, you're not doing chilul Shabbat. You're just cutting flesh, which anyway the guy's going to die. So then anyway, it's not doing anything wrong. So because of that, Mimanavshach, you're allowed to do brit milah, and there's no problem. Okay?
Hazak Baruch.
We came to you, so we finish here and we'll continue tomorrow.
Hazak Baruch.